Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for participating in this afternoon talk. Let me also take this opportunity to thank the organizing team of MACRA and C.I.S. for this MARVEX Power Talk on the new focus in indoor air quality. For your information, this is an ongoing talking point, not just in Malaysia, but also globally. Our international customers are constantly engaging us to provide solutions to deal with the ongoing pandemic. This pandemic has changed the world quite drastically, and IAQ has become an important and necessary consideration for everyone to maintain good health and safer living space. My talk for today is on innovating hygiene as part of a total indoor air quality solution. Here is a quick look at the agenda as I start. Introduction to Mclean. Who we are. Mclean, as mentioned earlier by Vincent, we are a health technology company that's innovating hygiene with new cutting-edge, chemical-free, and also sustainable sterilization technologies and products, creating new ways to improve quality of life and prevent diseases. We are founded in 2005. This year is our 16 years in the business. Currently, as mentioned, since 2005, we have been specializing in eradicating the following contaminants: bacteria, mold and viruses, allergens and pollutants, bad smell, cross-contamination and cross-infection. And we do it by sterilizing your air, surfaces, and water without using chemicals. Currently, we are represented in Asia Pacific region, as you can see here. And we have also expanded to the North America as well as to Europe. So today's discussion is on the IAQ. The current pandemic. What is the major challenges for IAQ? Well, the biggest challenge right now for all the customers that we know of and even people that we talk to is to find an effective solution to tackle pathogens spreading through droplets and aerosol. And WHO has defined the respiratory infection that can be transmitted, and these are the droplets particle size that are defined by WHO as well as the aerosol particles sizes. Earlier on, Engineer Ng has shared this slide. And what is important is to understand that while there's a lot of discussion going on, whether it's an airborne or whether it's a droplets, we cannot ignore that they are all part and parcel of the problem. The coronavirus, it is airborne, but we cannot ignore it has also droplets. It can also contaminate surfaces. So we need to consider all these three aspects, not just in the airborne space alone. Studies have shown here the sustainability of coronavirus on different surfaces. Here you can see that the viruses in aerosol form can last average 3 hours. And on different surfaces, the coronavirus actually can live even longer. Here you could see plastic has 72 hours, stainless steel 48 hours, copper 4 hours, and cardboard 24 hours. In another study, regards to other coronaviruses, you will find that the viruses can even last up to 9 days. So we need to be aware that while airborne is something we are looking at, we need to also understand the viruses can also be present on surfaces. Now, the ASHRAE has come out with a document which Engineer Ng also have shared. ASHRAE position document on infectious aerosol. While ASHRAE has come up with many guidelines, they have also made it very clearly, they have made a clear stand that HVAC system cannot control all airflows and completely prevent dissemination of an infectious aerosol or disease transmission by droplets and aerosol. Therefore, it is important to note we cannot solely rely on air movement, but we need to approach the solution from a total ecosystem, tackling air and surface contamination for any indoor environment to be effective and protect and has a better protection. These are some of the current practices to improve IAQ. Some has been mentioned by Engineer Ng. For example, in the HVAC system, the recommendation is, of course, to improve air filtration system, to add on additional cleaner in the HVAC. For example, if your filters is below MERX 16, we should consider upgrading the filters. But also you can include things like UVC, ESP, or bipolar ionization, part of the HVAC system to improve the air quality. And of course, a lot of discussion is about increasing air movement. Now, in the non-HVAC system, you will hear a lot of recommendation in terms of increase the disinfection of frequently touched surfaces using different types of portable air purifiers, some with HEPA filters, some with ESP, or some with UVC. So these are the current practices that are in place. However, there are challenges with the current practices. Not that they are not necessary, but they also have their own challenges. For example, they do not address much on surface contamination. They do not operate 24 hours to provide a continuous air movement. They do not completely tackle the indoor environment. Okay? It is necessary, but there is still gap to be filled or to be addressed. So I would like to talk a bit about Mclean Technology. Mclean basically we focus, as I mentioned earlier, in sterilization technologies. And we focus on providing the highest level of hygiene and safety continuously 24/7 without the use of chemical. Mclean Technologies creates active oxygen to sterilize indoor environment. It creates active oxygen found in nature to deal with indoor pollutants such as bacteria, viruses, mold, and unpleasant odor problems. Mclean patented technology called Serafusion technology is a patented technique that we have created to generate active oxygen by splitting oxygen atoms to create O- and O3. Ozone is proven to be effective in killing bacteria and deactivating viruses by destroying the RNA and DNA at the molecular level, whereas O- cluster airborne particles together, causing them to fail to fall on the surfaces. Serafusion technology is able to control the production of O3 and O1 depending on the application. What is important is the technology is designed to provide continuous sterilization in any indoor environment to enhance hygiene and provide a safer living environment. This is an important factor because pathogens or indoor pollutants are always there 24/7. Current method of increasing air movement is important but not sufficient to address the complete indoor environmental quality problem. We need to adopt new technologies to complement the existing solution. Mclean technology is scientifically proven by different universities. The University of Monash University in Malaysia campus have tested Serafusion technology against some of the common bacteria and mold. Nottingham University has also tested our technology against bacteria and different fungi. The University of Malaysia has also tested our technology. And one of the tests was against hand, foot, and mouth disease. Recently, last year in August 2020, the Fujita Health University has officially made a statement that ozone gas in a concentration of 0.05 to 0.1 parts per billion is able to deactivate coronavirus and is harmless to human. Because of the pandemic, we have seen a lot more studies using ozone technology at low concentration to address this pandemic. This is a part of the study done by Fujita to show that at 0.1 and 0.05 ppm, the coronavirus has been deactivated as much as 95.4 or 94%. Another study from Tel Aviv University again mentioned ozone is proven to be highly effective in disinfecting coronavirus. And the CDC, Director of Center for Disease Control in the US, states ozone, again, is very effective at inactivating viruses, especially enveloped viruses like SARS-CoV-2. Within seconds, ozone solubilizes the lipid membranes of the virus. So you will notice that there are many more studies coming out lately to endorse the use of ozone at a controlled level to deal with pandemic like this. So what is important here is that we need to look at a total solution approach, as I mentioned. Instead of just relying on air movement or specific technology, we need to take a total solution approach. Mclean air surface sterilizer is an important and necessary component to the total solution, and it is always on 24/7, providing continuous protection and added safety. So Mclean Technology will help to complement the existing solution that are in place and the gap that we can fill where HVACs or the non-HVAC system are not able to do. So in summary, we need to look at a more comprehensive approach to tackle the IAQ in the new norm. We need to embrace new technology to complement existing solution. The importance of sterilizing air and surfaces 24/7. The importance of added safety to reduce the risk in the new norm. There is no perfect technology to effectively address this pandemic, as we have also heard from Engineer Ng. We need to look at a more comprehensive solution. Indoor pollution is very complicated, but often the time we are trying to simplify the solution to the problem. It won't work. We need to face the facts and educate organizations, business owners, and general public so that they have the right solution and knowledge to invest and implement the proper solution. So with that, I conclude my talk this afternoon. I pass down the time back to Vincent. Thank you. Well, there are studies done in different countries. I think Italy or somewhere also in South America, where ozone is used in treating patients. Right now, there are even clinical trials going on using ozone for such treatment. Of course, Mclean, we are not in that space, but to answer this question, yes, ozone has been considered and being used in treating patients. So that's all I can comment at this moment. Yeah. There is a possibility when you have more air movement in the built-in environment, more viruses will be disseminated. Definitely. That is why we need to make sure that we treat the airborne viruses. And to do that, this is where we use active oxygen to kill those or deactivate the viruses airborne as well on surfaces. So if you just focus on just air movement, there are studies actually states that you may even spread the viruses more in the actual environment. So that's why I keep talking about looking at the perspective of total solution to be more effective in dealing with these viruses. Well, definitely you can consider doing that. Again, as I mentioned, depends on the objective of placing a UV light in the return box. Reason why I ask is that, for example, we are being approached in one of our customers, without naming the customers, is that they are having a major breakout on COVID-19 in a large space. And one of the problem is, of course, they found out is through the centralized system, yeah, where COVID-19 is spread through the ducting system. So they are looking at how to treat it. And when you talk about treating the HVACs, again, it's only one part of the solution, okay? But where is the source of the virus coming from? It's from the indoor environment. So we suggest to the customers, other than just treating the ducting system, whether it's using UV or whether it's using ESP, we need to address the indoor environment. And that's where we talk about using solution like Mclean to sterilize the indoor space on a continuous basis, in addition to treating the ducting system. So only then you will find a more effective solution to address the problem. So I try to give a bigger picture of or answer to the question that is mentioned specifically. Again, because I keep emphasizing the importance of the holistic solution approach, not a individual segment kind of solution. Thank you. Sure. In Malaysia, for example, some of our major customers are, for example, Resort World Genting, where we install our system in casinos. As you know, casinos, they have a huge space. We have done as large as about 30,000 square meter area. And a lot of the properties we have also implemented in restaurants, in their hotel rooms, corridors, public toilets, and places like Jaya Grocer. I'm sure you're all familiar. Last year, we have implemented all their nationwide outlets, 37 of the outlets, implementing in the entire supermarket. That's a very large implementation. And EcoWorld, I'm sure all of us know, all their major sales gallery are fitted with Mclean solution. And KLIA, phase 2 of their refurbishment in the toilets, they have actually started using Mclean in the toilets. And in Singapore, we are very active in Changi Airport. Changi is very aggressive in tackling COVID-19, and we are proud to say that we have been selected as part of their solution in the public toilets, because they found that a lot of the cases are also coming from the toilet area. So we are doing it continuously. We have done the Terminal 1, Terminal 3, we have done Terminal 4. We have also implemented in the Jewel. I'm sure you know Jewel is the height for Singapore. We have done a couple of places in the Jewel. We have done implementation in some of the government departments, like the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Environment and Water Resources. Currently, in fact, we have also just installed in Germany a 400-seat capacity cinema tackling COVID-19 concern. And we will be implementing another 3 to 4 more cinemas in Germany. So these are just some examples of large implementation that we have done so far. But there are a lot more, but I think this will give you an idea how we have done and implemented Mclean in these places. Thank you. These places that have been converted for treating patients with COVID-19 or isolation. This is actually a very good example of having the right solution in this place, because you're talking about a large number of people. You know, it's not just 5, it's like hundreds of people, it could be even thousands of people. So again, air movement is important, treatment of HVAC systems to make sure that the air distribution coming out from the diffusers are all treated. But again, you know, places where the patients are sleeping, right? You know, in Malaysia, I think compared to other country, from the newspaper or from the TV, you find it can be quite messy there. So definitely it's important to sterilize the indoor space on a continuous basis. So it should, I hope they have put more than just one solution. In fact, I think they need multiple solutions to address places like that because it's a very high risk place. And our experience with, for example, casino is a crowded area, right? So it's an area that you want to minimize infection across the people there. So we spend a lot of time working with facility engineers, HVAC engineers, with us to look at the total air distribution flow and the disinfection of the indoor space concurrently, not in isolation. So actually, these places, hopefully, Engineer Ng, you know, as he start to write this kind of policies, is to consider, you know, the solutions that we all talk about today, a more comprehensive solution to address such issues. Okay, thank you. It is clearly stated by ASHRAE document itself that air movement cannot control all airflows and completely prevent dissemination of infectious aerosol or disease transmission by droplets and aerosols. So that's a very important factor. And not only that, in actual environment, the air movement is more complicated, and system in place may not necessarily be able to move the entire air from every corner of the room, right? And especially if it's an old system and it's not even well maintained, then it will be a lot more difficult. And again, as I mentioned, air movement is only one parameter. You're only moving the air. And what about places that you can't move the air? What about surfaces that are contaminated? Are we not interested to address those areas?
Wash your hands frequently.
Yeah, other than washing your hands frequently, right? So,
yeah, correct.
So that's why it is so important. And Mclean believes it very strongly. And that's why we have been doing this for the last 15 years. We must treat the indoor environment completely, right, on a 24/7, because bacteria, viruses, they are everywhere. You know, it's impossible to control the movement of bacteria and viruses. So other than moving the air, and example one of the audience has mentioned, and study has also mentioned, air movement doesn't mean that you will reduce the spread of viruses. In fact, you can also increase the spread of viruses depending on how the air is being moved, what kind of airflow distribution you're facing. So that is why I keep saying we need to sterilize the indoor environment in addition to air movement. So, because if you just move the air, you're not necessarily deactivating the viruses or the bacteria. So you need something more than just what is present today. And as I mentioned earlier, this is not Malaysia problem. Globally, everybody is facing the same problem. Why? Because there's so much focus about increasing HVAC system, increasing air movement, but there is no satisfactory answer to solving the problem yet. It's because we are so skewed to air movement or HVAC system and so on and so on. We need to look seriously in the indoor space where the people are. And by doing so, then we are more effective in tackling on a holistic approach. So this is what I want to mention. Thank you. I have two key points. One is I mentioned again, and I will say again, the importance of taking a holistic approach to tackle any indoor environment problems. And of course, here we're talking about the virus COVID-19. Secondly, the industry needs to embrace new innovation and technologies to complement existing solutions. The new normal has made it necessary. It is not so simple and straightforward solution. So these are the two things that we need to seriously consider going forward to be effective in how we tackle the COVID-19. Thank you.